Day 67, Desert Wanderings, Numbers 18, Deuteronomy 19 through 20, Psalm 98. Let's begin. Numbers 18. And the Lord said to Aaron, You, and your sons, and the house of your father with you, shall carry the iniquity of the sanctuary. And you and your sons together shall bear the sins of your priesthood. But take to yourselves also your brothers from the tribe of Levi, and the scepter of your father, and may they be prepared, and may they minister to you. Then you and your sons shall minister in the tabernacle of the testimony. And the Levites shall stand watch by your precepts, and for all the works of the tabernacle, yet in such a manner that they shall not approach the vessels of the sanctuary and of the altar, lest both they die, and you perish, at the same time. But they may be with you, and they may watch over the care of the tabernacle and all its ceremonies. A foreigner shall not be mixed with you. Watch over the care of the sanctuary, and over the ministry of the altar, lest an indignation may rise over the sons of Israel. I have given your brothers, the Levites, to you from the midst of the sons of Israel, and I have delivered them as a gift to the Lord, in order to serve in the ministries of his tabernacle. But as for you and your sons, guard the priesthood. For all that pertains to the service of the altar, and of what is beyond the veil shall be exercised by the priests. If any outsider will approach, he shall be killed. And the Lord said to Aaron, Behold, I have given you custody of my firstfruits. Everything that is sanctified by the sons of Israel I have delivered to you and your sons, for the office of the priesthood, by everlasting ordinances. Therefore, you shall receive these, from the things that are sanctified and offered to the Lord. Every offering, and sacrifice, and whatever is repaid to me, on behalf of sin and also for offenses, and which becomes the Holy of Holies, shall be for you and for your sons. You shall eat it in the sanctuary. Only the males shall eat from it, because it has been consecrated for you. But the firstfruits, which the sons of Israel shall vow and offer, I have given to you, and to your sons, as well as to your daughters, by a perpetual right. Whoever is clean in your house shall eat them. All the innermost of the oil, and of the wine, and of the grain, whatever firstfruits they offer to the Lord, I have given to you. All the first of the crops, which the soil produces and which are carried to the Lord, shall fall to your use. Whoever is clean in your house shall eat them. All that the sons of Israel shall repay by vow shall be yours. Whatever goes out first from the womb, of all flesh, which they offer to the Lord, whether from men or from cattle, shall be your right. Yet only in so far as, for the firstborn of man, you shall accept a price. And every animal that is unclean you shall cause to be redeemed. And its redemption shall be, after 1 month, 5 shekels of silver, by the weight of the sanctuary. A shekel has 20 obols. But the firstborn of a cow, or of a sheep, or of a goat, you shall not cause to be redeemed, because they have been sanctified to the Lord. Thus their blood you shall pour out upon the altar, and their fat you shall burn as a most sweet odor to the Lord. Yet truly, the flesh shall fall to your use, just as the consecrated breast, and the right shoulder shall be yours. All the firstfruits of the sanctuary, which the sons of Israel offer to the Lord, I have given to you and to your sons as well as to your daughters, as a perpetual right. It is an everlasting covenant of salt before the Lord, for you and for your sons. And the Lord said to Aaron, In their land you shall possess nothing, either shall you have a portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance in the midst of the sons of Israel. But I have given, to the sons of Levi, all the tithes of Israel as a possession, for the ministry by which they serve me in the tabernacle of the covenant. So that the sons of Israel may no longer approach to the tabernacle, nor commit deadly sin. Only the sons of Levi may serve me in the tabernacle and may carry the sins of the people. It shall be an everlasting ordinance in your generations. They shall possess nothing else. Being content with the oblation of tithes, which I have separated for their uses and necessities. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Instruct the Levites, and also declare to them, when you will receive, from the sons of Israel, the tithes, which I have given to you, offer their firstfruits to the Lord, that is, the 10th part of a tenth. So that it may be accounted to you as an oblation of the firstfruits, as much from the threshing floors as from the oil and wine presses. And offer the firstfruits of everything, from which you receive tithes, to the Lord, and give them to Aaron the priest. Everything which you shall offer from the tithes, and which you shall separate as gifts to the Lord, shall be the finest and most select. And you shall say to them, if you offer the noble and the better of the tithes, it shall be accounted to you as if you had given from the firstfruits of the threshing floor and of the oil and wine presses. And you shall eat these in all your places, both you and your families, because it is your price for the ministry, by which you serve in the tabernacle of the testimony. And you shall not sin in this way, by reserving the excellent and fat things for yourselves, lest you pollute the oblations of the sons of Israel, and lest you die. Deuteronomy 19:20. When the Lord your God will have destroyed the nations, whose land he will deliver to you, and when you possess it and live in its cities and buildings, you shall separate for yourselves 3 cities in the midst of the land, which the Lord will give to you as a possession, paving the road carefully. And you shall divide the entire province of your land equally into 3 parts, so that he who is forced to flee because of manslaughter may have a place nearby to which he may be able to escape. This shall be the law of the killer who flees, whose life is to be saved. Whoever strikes down his neighbor unwillingly, and who has been proven to have had no hatred against him yesterday and the day before, such that he had gone with him into the forest simply to cut wood, and in cutting down the tree, the axe slipped from his hand, or the iron slipped from the handle, and it struck his friend and killed him, he shall flee to one of the cities stated above, and he shall live. Otherwise, perhaps the near relative of him whose blood was shed, impelled by his grief, might pursue and apprehend him, unless the way is too long, and he might strike down the life of him who is not guilty unto death, since he had demonstrated that he had no prior hatred against him who was slain. For this reason, I instruct you to separate 3 cities at equal distance from one another. And when the Lord your God will have enlarged your borders, just as he swore to your fathers, and when he will have given to you all the land that he has promised to them. But this is only so if you will keep his commandments, and do the things which I instruct to you this day, so that you love the Lord your God, and walk in his ways at all times. You shall add for yourselves 3 other cities, and so you shall double the number of the 3 cities stated above. So may innocent blood not be shed in the midst of the land which the Lord your God will give you to possess, lest you be guilty of blood. But if anyone, having hatred for his neighbor, will have lain in ambush for his life, and rising up, will have struck him, and he will have died, and if he will have fled to one of the cities stated above, the elders of his city shall send, and they shall take him from the place of refuge, and they shall deliver him into the hand of the relative of him whose blood was shed, and he shall die. You shall not take pity on him, and so shall you take away the blood of the innocent from Israel, so that it may be well with you. You shall not take up or move the landmark of your neighbor, which those before you have placed, in your possession that the Lord your God will give to you, in the land you will receive to possess. One witness shall not stand against another, no matter what the sin or outrage may be. For every word shall stand by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. If a lying witness will have stood against a man, accusing him of a transgression, both of those whose case it is shall stand before the Lord in the sight of the priests, and the judges who shall be in those days. And when, after a very diligent examination, they will have found that the false witness had told a lie against his brother, they shall render to him just as he intended to do to his brother. And so shall you take away the evil from your midst. Then the others, upon hearing this, will be afraid, and they will by no means dare to do such things. You shall not take pity on him. Instead, you shall require a life for a life, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand, a foot for a foot. If you go out to battle against your enemies, and you see horsemen and chariots, and that the multitude of your adversaries' army is greater than your own, you shall not fear them. For the Lord your God, who led you away from the land of Egypt, is with you. Then, as the battle now draws near, the priest shall stand before the front ranks, and he shall speak to the people in this manner. Listen, O Israel! Today you engage in a battle against your enemies. Do not let your heart be overwhelmed with fear. Do not be apprehensive. Do not yield. You should have no dread of them. For the Lord your God is in your midst, and he will contend against your enemies on your behalf, so that he may rescue you from peril. Likewise, the officers shall proclaim, throughout every company, in the hearing of the soldiers, what man is there who has built a new house, and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest perhaps he may die in the battle, and another man may dedicate it. What man is there who has planted a vineyard, and has not yet caused it to be common, so that all may eat from it? Let him go, and return to his house, lest perhaps he may die in the battle, and another man may carry out his office. What man is there, who has betrothed a wife, and has not taken her? Let him go, and return to his house, lest perhaps he may die in battle, and another man may take her. After these things have been declared, they shall add the remainder, and shall say to the people, What man is there who is overwhelmed by fear and is faint-hearted? Let him go, and return to his house, lest he cause the hearts of his brothers to fear, just as he himself has been thoroughly stricken with fear. And when the officers of the army have become silent, and have completed their speech, each one shall prepare his unit to wage war. When, at any time, you approach a city to fight against it, you shall first offer peace to it. If they receive it, and open the gates to you, then all the people who are in it shall be saved, and they shall serve you by paying tribute. But if they are not willing to enter into an agreement, and they begin to act against you in warfare, then you shall besiege it. And when the Lord your God will have delivered it into your hands, you shall strike down anyone who is in it, of the male gender, with the edge of the sword. But not the women and young children, nor the cattle and the other things that are within the city. And you shall divide all the plunder to the soldiers, and you shall eat the spoils from your enemies, which the Lord your God will give to you. So shall you do to all the cities which are at a great distance from you, those which are not among the cities that you shall receive as a possession. But among those cities which shall be given to you, you shall not permit anyone at all to live. Instead, you shall put them to death with the edge of the sword, specifically, the Hittite and the Amorite and the Canaanite, the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite, just as the Lord your God has commanded you. Otherwise, they may teach you to do all the abominations which they have committed for their own gods. And then you would sin against the Lord your God. When you will have besieged a city for a long time, and you will have encircled it with fortifications, so that you may fight against it, you shall not cut down trees from which one is able to eat, either shall you cause devastation with axes to the surrounding region. For it is a tree, and not a man. It is not able to increase the number of those who are fighting against you. But if there are any trees which are not fruitful, but are wild, and if these are fit for other uses, then cut them down, and make machines, until you have captured the city that is contending against you. Psalm 98. A psalm of David himself. The Lord has reigned, let the peoples be angry. He sits upon the cherubim, let the earth be moved. The Lord is great in Zion, and he is high above all peoples. May they confess to your great name, for it is terrible and holy. And the honor of the king loves judgment. You have prepared guidance. You have accomplished judgment and justice in Jacob. Exalt the Lord our God, and adore the footstool of his feet, for it is holy. Moses and Aaron are among his priests, and Samuel is among those who call upon his name. They called upon the Lord, and he heeded them. He spoke to them in the pillar of the cloud. They kept his testimonies and the precept that he gave them. You heeded them, O Lord our God. You were a forgiving God to them, though taking vengeance on all their inventions. Exalt the Lord our God, and adore on his holy mountain. For the Lord our God is holy.